Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're out at the range with probably one of my favorite firearms, the Scorpion EVO. And you've seen this gun many times on the channel before. This is my SBR with its standard factory 8-inch barrel, but that does have the carbine length handguard on it, which I discovered would nicely tuck away a Silencer Co. Omega 9K suppressor. And then on top of it, I have a aim point. This is a T1. This is from my friends over at Optics Planet. And this has a side folder LLC stock on it. Then I'm running a Zukov stock from Magpul on the gun. And this has probably been one of my favorite 9mm suppressed guns for quite some time. About the only thing I can complain about on this gun is the fact that this can is a direct thread can. If I put any other type of mount on there, it'd make it very difficult to take the handguard off if I wanted to for whatever reason. So I'm constantly having to tighten this can. But anyway, it's one of the downsides to this particular setup. What I want to show you is something from Innovative Arms that is another suppressed solution for the Scorpion that, quite honestly, if you follow us on Instagram, has simply blown away me and Jason. And it takes quite a bit to blow us away, and especially Jason. Jason doesn't get excited about as much stuff as I do. When I know he's excited, that tells me something. But let's start off shooting off. I think these are some Fiocchi 124 grain ball rounds, and we're going to be shooting them out of this gun, and you're going to see that this gun's going to have a bit of a sonic boom. That's because we're shooting a supersonic round out of an 8-inch barrel, and even though it should still be hearing safe with the shooter's ear, you will hear the bullet crack downrange. That's a problem. 115 grain, 124 grain bullets, the most affordable stuff out there. If you're running it through a suppressor, it's probably going to break the sound barrier unless you have a 2-inch barrel. So let's go ahead and shoot this gun. Then let me show you a Scorpion EVO that was modified by the guys over at Innovative Arms, and I really think you're going to like that one. Okay, that was just me shooting into the dirt. You can probably hear the sonic boom downrange. This little microphone doesn't have a whole lot of dynamic range. Now I'm going to shoot some steel from about 50 yards. And you will notice also I have a Yeti Works hand grip or pistol grip on here, which I put on all my Scorpions. You're going to see on the Innovative Arms gun too. This drastically improves the ergonomics of the gun. Let's shoot some steel here really quick so you can hear that. I mean, honestly, the sonic boom is about as loud as the bullet hitting the steel plate. Back to dirt until we empty the magazine out here. Okay, so the gun is now empty. So running just off-the-shelf standard Velocity 9mm, it's a little bit loud. I won't say it's ringing my ears, but you definitely have that sonic boom downrange. Now let me show you something that's really, really cool. If you guys have been around for a while, in the gun community that is, you've probably heard of the MP5SD. And what was so cool about the MP5SD is that you could take standard velocity 115 grain or 124 grain rounds, feed it through the gun, it would slow the projectile down, suppress it, and make for a very quiet gun without having to go out and buy subsonic ammunition for a 9mm. Well, Innovative Arms has done the same thing with the Scorpion. They'll take a standard Scorpion, they'll modify its standard barrel, they'll cut it back to about 4.8 inches, they'll reprofile it, and using similar technology to what HK pioneered back with the SD, just in front of the chamber area, they helically cut ports into the barrel that run in the same contour as the rifling of the barrel. Okay, then they'll broach the barrel to make sure they get any burrs out of it. You're cutting ports that run with the grooves of the barrel, which is really nice, and they broach it, clean it up. It taps gases off, it traps them back here. So if you look through the handguard, which you can't see because I put some heat panels on here, which are a necessity, it'll trap the gas back here. That immediately slows down the bullet to subsonic levels. So by the time the bullet leaves the 4.8-inch barrel, it then goes into this suppressor, which is user serviceable. It's modular, looks similar to a like a Silencer Co. Salvo 12. You'll see these external baffles. You can see the lines in them. The bullet's subsonic by the time it hits this large voluminous baffle, exits, and you have a very quiet gun using standard 115 or 124 grain ball. But you're probably going to ask, well, what happens if you put a subsonic load into the gun? It'll still work. It'll still slow the bullet down, of course. It's diminishing returns there, but you're not going to get a baffle strike, or it shouldn't cause a malfunction with the gun. So this one is set up. This one's not an SBR yet. I may leave it as a pistol. This one has an SB Tactical side folding brace on it. On top, I have an aim point T1 Micro. And again, this is from my friends over at Optics Planet, using just a standard aim point mount on it. And I do have the Yeti Works grip. Again, I put these on all my Scorpions because I find the original Scorpion grip to be one of the most unergonomic pistol grips on the market. This fixes it. The Yeti Works grips are really nice. Out here, we've been shooting this gun for a little while, and Jason and I learned very quickly that this metal HB Industries handguard will heat up very quickly, even though it's not physically touching the suppressor. This is all metal, it heats up, and you'll want something to shield your hands. Now, I was talking to the guys at Innovative Arms, and they said that here in the next few days, they're gonna release a product that will be heat shielding for this handguard, so you won't have to worry as much about burning yourself. So everything else on this gun is pretty much factory. I haven't messed with anything else. As factory sights, factory trigger, all that good stuff. So this is technically a pistol with the Innovative Arms silencer. And this, again, works just like that SD. So let's try this out here. That's my 158s. So these are some standard 115 grain ball rounds. These are Federal 115 grain white box. And this is from our friends over at LAX Ammunition. Of course, there is a discount code down below. That discount code is good store-wide. It's good for all brands of ammunition that they carry. We do not get any financial kickbacks from the use of that code. If you buy ammo, we don't make any profit from that, but the guys do supply us with ammunition here on the channel. The code is a thank you for you guys watching and supporting the channel. So we're gonna take these 115 grain ball rounds. We're gonna stick this little 20 round mag in here. I think I may only have 15 rounds loaded. And I'm gonna go ahead and charge the weapon. And now, listen to how quiet this is. Hopefully this microphone will pick this up, but I'm gonna shoot it just into the dirt. I gotta turn my aim point on here really quick. I'm gonna shoot it into the dirt, and keep in mind, these are supersonic bullets, cartridges, except the bullets are being slowed down by the suppressor. I mean, the brass hitting the ground is as loud as the gun. Those are formerly supersonic loads being slowed down to subsonic levels. Now let's do a little bit of shooting on steel. All right, and that was the last round. So those were 115 grains. Guys, the microphones don't always translate what we hear here on the range very well. They're trying to auto adjust. All I can tell you is that this is a very, very quiet setup. Much more quiet than the Scorpion we opened this episode up with, because the bullet with that weapon was breaking the sound barrier. Here's some 124 grain Syntex Federal again, and these are supersonic loads, but once again we're going to stick it into the Innovative Arms Scorpion, and I'm going to shoot some dirt here. I mean, guys, this is probably one of the most quiet sounding guns to my ear. The bolt click is more loud than the actual gunshot itself. You can actually hear the bullet hit the dirt downrange at 50 yards. Put one on steel. And back to the dirt. Okay, so those are 124 grain loads. These are some 158 grain subsonic loads from Fiocchi. All right, so these are already subsonic. These would work great out of a handgun that you're trying to suppress and not break the sound barrier. But some of you are probably going to ask the logical question, well, if it's slowing down a supersonic, what's it going to do to a subsonic, especially a really heavy bullet like a 158? Is it going to slow it down so much that we get a baffle strike? Let's find out. Shoot some steel. Back to some dirt. So let's find out exactly what's going on with the bullet velocity using the Innovative Arms suppression technology. So we have our lab radar set up. We're going to have to trigger off the Doppler radar. We can't really use the pressure sensor because this is so quiet, it simply won't trigger the device. So we may not get some velocity data every once in a while. But we tested it, looks like everything's working okay. We've set our projectile weight for 158 grains. So we're going to start off with the 158 grain subsonics. And that's the Fiocchi ammunition. And what this is going to tell us is not just bullet velocity, but how much kinetic energy these 158s maintain, even though they're being slowed down even more by the gun itself. Okay, let's go ahead and hit record. Bugs are all over me here. All right, and let's see what we get. (854 feet per second). All right, so that's at the muzzle, and then at 5 yards, 852 feet per second. All right, so that's pretty interesting. So it's a little bit faster than I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry, 838, 829, 840. There's our 5th round, and 846. So go ahead and stop that and take a look at our kinetic energy, and we're looking at a kinetic energy of 250 foot-pounds of energy, which isn't a whole lot. And then we have a power factor of 133.4. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump this data real quick. And we'll trash it. And then let's go ahead and set it up. Actually, set it up, change the projectile weight. Let's do the 124s. Oh, darn it. Almost there. Okay, there's 124 grains. We'll accept that. Go ahead and hit record and drop that magazine out. And we have the 124 grain Syntec Federal. Okay. Oh, trying to release the bolt, and I had it locked back HK style. All right, here we go. A 1,028 feet per second. 1,031. Again, this is muzzle velocity. 1,038. 1,054. That was our last, and 1,032. Go ahead and stop, take a look at what we're looking at here. We've gone up a little bit in power. We have kinetic energy at the muzzle of 293 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, and a power factor, though, of 127. All right, so let's go ahead and dump this data really quick and do the 115s. Go ahead and trash that. Yes. Start new. Let's go ahead and set the projectile weight down to 115. There we go. All right, start recording. Let's go ahead and get the gun loaded up here really quick. Our 115 grain, this is our Federal. And hit the record button. See what we get. $1,076. $1,098. I mean, we're right at that supersonic threshold. 1,083. 1,067. and it may not have picked that last one up. Okay. So now we're looking at a kinetic energy of 290 foot-pounds of muzzle energy and a power factor of 121.9. So now you can see what's going on with the different weight bullets. It seems to at least favor, in terms of kinetic energy, the 115 grain stuff, although the power factor seems to go down as we lighten the bullet. All right, but the actual kinetic energy seems to favor the lighter bullets. So now the next question is what does this sound like at the shooter's ear? So let's dig out our Brûlure Care meter and find out just how quiet this setup is. All right, so now let's do some meter testing. We're going to start off doing the industry standard, which if you watch the channel, you know I don't agree with. I think it's completely arbitrary, but it's an industry standard, and a lot of guys like to keep spreadsheets of all the different suppressors, and so we're going to go ahead and give you that data. So what is the industry standard? It's 1.6 meters off the ground with the pressure sensor 1 meter left of the muzzle. So that's what we have it all set up to do. We've calibrated this meter, and everything is all set to go. You can see my voice talking over here, bouncing around on the sound meter. All right, so we're only going to do 2 different types of loads, because then we're going to move it over and do 6 inches off the shooter's right ear, which is the new government standard testing, which I happen to agree with. It is the most relevant type of testing. As I'm adjusting this so it doesn't hit the microphone, you guys have seen me wear these before. I love these. These are really, really cool magazine pouch holders. We keep them over at Copper Custom. They're made by UW Gear. It's a bandolier. You can quickly roll these up, throw them in a Jeep, have 4 magazines for your Scorpion, quickly throw it on. You can hide it under a coat, but I really love this little setup. And again, we have them over at coppercustom.com. All right, so we have 158 grain Fiocchi that we're going to meter. We have 5 rounds of that. Then we have 115 grain Federal. So we're going to do the high and the low. The high end in terms of the bullet weight and the low end in terms of the bullet weight. The 115s should be the loudest because they're moving the fastest, the closest to the sound barrier. All right, so let's start off with the 115s. I'm going to go ahead and ready the Scorpion, insert the magazine. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the record feature. You can see the ambient noise with me whispering is 80 decibels. Let's fire the first round. Okay, that's with first round pop, and we have 127 decibels flat. $126.3 decibels. $126.1 decibels. Keep in mind, guys, these are 115 grain rounds, which would normally be supersonic and much louder. $126.6. Now watch this. Watch the sound meter when I take the safety off. Ambient noise is about 78 decibels. I'm going to flip the safety off. That's 96 decibels 1 meter away from the gun, just to give you guys an idea of what decibels look like. That actually hit a log, but we still had 126.6 decibels. So that's what the 115 grain loads. That is good. To the shooter's ear, from where I'm standing, it sounds like a BB gun. Heck, I think a BB gun's louder. Checking my pockets here. Let me find my 158s. Not there. Maybe if I would have put them in this pocket. All right, let's go ahead and reset the test here and drop this magazine out. Put this magazine in, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the record button and go ahead and drop the bolt. $122.1. That's really quiet, guys. Now keep in mind, that's the 158 grain bullet, which is moving again right around 850 feet per second based upon our velocity testing. 122, guys, that is 22 quiet. And 22s are probably the most quiet guns you can shoot, suppressed. This is as quiet as a 22. .121. If this thing breaks into 119, I'm going to laugh. .123.4. .122.7. Okay. 122.6. So we didn't break into the teens, but 122 decibels, guys. Again, that is 22 long rifle, subsonic suppression levels. That is super, super quiet. That's cool. All right, so let's move this over to the shooter's right ear and see what we're getting over here, because keep in mind now we got to deal with the action noise, because I can guarantee you the action closing on this gun is going to be at least that loud, I'm guessing. Let's check it out. Now we have the sound meter set up where it's 6 inches off my right ear. Now I can move my head around. That's not going to change the relationship between the port and the sensor, so this is a rough estimation. All right, so we've got it set up right now where it's 6 inches off the shooter's right ear, which is the CSAS standard. And what I want to do here really quick for you guys is show you, I'm going to reset this and show you what the bolt closing sounds like, how loud that is. .121.8 decibels. Now keep in mind, when we were shooting those 158s at the muzzle, it was 122 and some odd change decibels. The bolt closing right here where we're measuring is 121 decibels. Okay? All right, so we're going to start off again with the 115 grain projectiles. So these will be the loudest. Then we're going to shoot the 158s, which should be the quietest. The 124s will fall somewhere in between. These are the closest to the sound barrier. And this bug is trying to fly up my nose. We'll shoot 5 rounds. Reset the meter here really quick. .141.9. Okay, so this is gas coming back out the ejection port towards the shooter's ear and the bolt clicking. Okay, let's go ahead and reset that. .138.8. .138.3. .139.4. Okay, and 139 flat. All right, so that was the 115 grains. Now keep in mind, guys, a lot of the noise that we're going to be hearing here is gases coming back down the barrel, port pop, and the action of the gun being slapped around. Me dropping the bolt isn't the exact same thing as the round going off. It's slapping, coming back into contact with the receiver, and then being slapped home by the recoil spring. So that's actually going to be even louder. All right, so a lot of this has to do with the action of the gun, not just the suppressor. All right, so now we got the 158 grainers. Go ahead and load the gun up. 140 decibels is that threshold we don't want to break. .137.9. .139.3. .136.0. 137.6. That was our last round. That was 141.7. So what CSAS tells us is that it cannot exceed 140 decibels at the shooter's ear to pass the CSAS specifications. Now what you're going to find, it's fairly common, 5.56, 9 millimeter, all that stuff, you're going to notice that they're always going to be right around 140 decibels at the shooter's ear. Now when you're working with higher pressure calibers like 308 and you're measuring up here, you're going to see an interesting inversion take place. They're going to meter right around 140 decibels back here, but back here with a conventional can, they're going to be over 150, which is way over hearing safe. Keep in mind, 3 decibels is a doubling of the sound pressure. So then when you put something like an OSS can on it, you're going to be at 150 decibels out here, but when you come back here, you're going to be closer to 140, 141 decibels, which is bringing it down closer to hearing safe. So this is that critical measurement, and you're trying not to get over 140 decibels. But one other thing that you should know, I technically should be wearing ears right now because you should only expose yourself to 140 decibels once, I think, every 24-hour period per OSHA standards. Okay? All right, so there you guys go. When you measure it at the industry standard, which is why the industry loves it, silly, silly quiet. It still sounds silly quiet to my ear. It doesn't sound like 140 decibels, but that's just it, guys. When you see guys talking about tone and all this other stuff, that's completely worthless. That's not scientific. This is the only thing telling you whether or not you're truly damaging your hearing or not.
God, I love this thing. It's going to disappear. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, this is definitely mine. Peace out.
All right, guys, it's time to wrap things up this afternoon. We've been shooting the IA SC9 suppressor manufactured by Innovative Arms on the Scorpion EVO now for several weeks. We've had an absolute blast with this gun. If you want to pick one up, it's best just to go to their website to get full pricing because there's a whole bunch of different options. If you already own a gun or if you want to buy a complete gun, handguards, no handguards, whatever. So it ranges in price from $725 all the way up to $1,750, depending on if you want to buy a complete gun with all the bells and whistles. I can't link to it directly down below because YouTube doesn't like us linking to constitutionally protected items that might be for sale. So you're going to have to Google Innovative Arms, and I'll put down here in the lower third their actual URL to kind of help you guys out so you can actually figure out what the pricing is and determine whether or not you want to pick one of these up. But you do have to pay a $200 tax for the suppressor. If you SBR it, it will be a 2-stamp gun, right? So SBR stamp, integral suppressor, another stamp. We've been running all sorts of ammunition through it, guys, for the last few times we've had it out here to the range. We've had 0 malfunctions. It runs like a Scorpion EVO. I think this is pretty awesome. If you're just looking for a 9mm that is probably the best in terms of suppression, using a multitude of different ammunition, it's going to be pretty hard to beat this little guy. I really do look forward to the new heat shielding because if I had one complaint about this whole system, it's that this thing gets stinking hot after a couple of magazines. Other than that, I absolutely love the setup. And again, I think Jason is probably going to try to steal this one from me. Guys, if you would like, he's over there shaking his head, yes. If you guys like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, guys, we are not industry supported. We take no industry money. We don't let companies pay us to do paid advertisements or what is called a product placement. We are 100% viewer supported, and we do that through Patreon. There is a link down below. If you'd like for us to continue to bring you honest information, honest as we see it, of course, our opinions, then please support us, consider supporting us over at patreon.com. Again, there's a link down below. Check out some of the incentives and become part of our Patreon family. You can also pick up a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing here from our friends over at forgedfromfreedom.com. There is a link down below. Buy a t-shirt, support us here at the Military Arms Channel. And last but not least, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com, which is our online store. You can find that cool bandolier over there from UW Gear and all sorts of other cool stuff, including red dot sights like the aim points and other things that we feature here on the channel. All right, guys, let's see if I got a round chambered. I do. We're going to finish up this video with the last 20 rounds, and we're just going to bang away at steel. I know you guys hate this, but I like shooting at targets. I hate shooting at dirt. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, Jason tightened up this screw and we got the red dot sight back on. It should be zeroed, but this little screw backed itself off even though it was under tension. Go figure. I could break anything, including a steel ball. Yeah, mostly zeroed. Yep, I'm sure of it. I love it. Thanks for 10 years of support, guys. Talk to you guys soon.